Today on American Sports Cavalcade, it's season opening action in the sportsman classes of the National Hot Rod Association. Top alcohol dragster pilots, along with their counterparts in the fiberglass body top alcohol funny cars, will be striving to run the quarter mile in less than 6 seconds. Then, it's the exotic machines of Competition Eliminator in what should be some of the closest side-by-side racing of the day. Welcome, everyone, to the newly renovated and thoroughly modern Pomona Raceway for the Cheap Auto Parts Sports Nationals. 1 week ago, the NHRA's debut of this beautiful new tower complex was postponed by badly needed rain in Southern California. But before the weather set in, fans were treated to a new national record in top alcohol dragster set by the kid from Bass Lake, California, Brooks Brown, at a 5.69 second elapsed time in what is truly a unique machine. Well, here is that bad boy motor that pushed Brooks Brown to a new national record and is proving to be such a pain to the blown alcohol set. It uses a supercharger style injector, but there's no blower, just this plenum chamber. It's 525 cubic inches, 99% nitromethane in the tank. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Evans. And Brooks, you got to drive this car not like a blown alcohol car, more like a, well, an old top fuel car.
Yeah, it is. Identically to an old top fuel car. Leave the starting at an idle, about 3.5 seconds out, shift, and drives right away from him.
Now, the blown alcohol guy in the other lane, he's raising the RPM to the moon and whacking the throttle. Does that bother you?
No, it doesn't bother me at all. I'm more of a menace to him because I sit there and idle, and they're usually listening to the motors come up.
They're afraid of you at the far end. That's where you drive around them.
Yeah, they know about half track or three-quarter tracks when I start to really charge, and I drive right around them.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, for the alcohol funny car slant, here's the senior editor of Car and Driver magazine, but more importantly, my friend, Brock Yates.
Well, Steve, you're not going to snort any nitro fumes around that #1 funny car of Bob Newberry's, who comes in as the Winston champion and top alcohol funny car with a pretty basic setup. In fact, this is last year's winning championship car, Bob, and starting out really well here so far.
Well, we do have basically the same combination as we ran the previous year, and it was very successful for us last year. We ran 593 in a final here, and that's the same number that we qualified here with also. So we're real pleased with that.
Now, Top Gun, everybody's after you. That puts a lot of pressure on a champion. I mean, it's easy to chase people, but once you're on top, you know that you're the man. You're a marked man.
Well, we're going to try to stay there and use the same philosophy that we used in '92. We're just going to take one round at a time.
So far, so good. Off to a great start so far.
We're real pleased with the performance, and hopefully, if we don't make any mistakes here, we'll be in the final round.
Okay, go get him.
Thank you.
Bob Newberry. And now, for the third class we're covering today, let's go to my pal, Bob Fry.
Well, Brock, that third eliminator we'll take a look at is Competition Eliminator. The 32 quickest cars ever in the history of the Cheap Auto Parts Sports Nationals are assembled here at Pomona, and it includes a couple of 190-mile-per-hour dragsters and a couple of supercharged Alders. But one of the toughest cars in the field is the 6-cylinder K Alderd of Larry Cobb. Larry, you're from Baltimore, and that's a long way to go drag racing.
Well, wherever we got to go, we'll go, and we just want to race really bad, and it's the first one of the year, and we're just ready to go.
Oh, it'll be interesting for a guy like you to get a chance to meet up with a lot of these West Coast cars that you just don't normally see back east.
Very rarely. Usually at Indy, we'll see some of them come halfway across, but other than that, never. We just have to come out here to meet them.
You're going to have to hold off some big top-end charges the way this field's assembled.
Whatever it takes, we're going to try to win this race.
Should be a magnificent eliminator bracket today, Competition Eliminator here at Pomona. Steve?
Okay, thank you, Bob. It's time to get with the action, sports fans. We begin with the second round of top alcohol dragster competition, and that is Bill Barney. He is a professional in a sportsman category. Don't ask. Somehow, he manages through sponsorship and race winnings to support a family. In the far lane is a local driver, Larry Sutton, and he has been a big story, Brock Yates. He defeated the world champ Blaine Johnson in round 1 with a big hole shot.
Absolutely. Johnson was really surprised because Sutton ran a 6:04, and he was only the 15th qualifier, so he knocked off a major player when Johnson went down.
Now, if anybody knows how the starting line works, though, it's Larry Sutton. He has been a professional starter at drag strips all over Southern California when they still existed. since the middle 60s. So Larry has pushed that button and watched more wheels leave the beam than probably anybody on the planet other than Buster Couch, NHRA's official starter. And he uses that advantage. Sutton from Anaheim Hills, California, only qualified 15th, but he's improved on that performance as he goes into the second round. Bill Barney used to be out of Sacramento, California, but figured Knoxville, Tennessee was a better base to run all the divisional and national events. He has one of the few 300-inch chassis wheelbases in the entire eliminator category. Those guys don't feel you need it that long, but Barney says he did it for stability.
A lot of Barney's equipment floats around in alcohol dragster ranks. He's one of the best of the fabricators and builders and keeps a lot of guys in business just through his expertise.
The RPMs come up. Sutton is away first. Can Sutton do it again? Yes, he can. The green car owned by Jerry Darian wins at 6:01 to a losing 5:97. So now Blaine Johnson has good company in Bill Barney as they both fall to the hole shot. Watch the car in the far lane.
Oh, boy, there it is. A 410 and to Barney's 461, and that did it because Barney ran a good ET, but actually a little quicker, a 597 against a 601 for Sutton, but it was that reaction time that did it for Sutton. So two major names fall to Sutton already.
We'll be back with more from the Chief Auto Parts Sports Nationals right after these messages. Stay with us, everyone, from Pomona, California.
Brought to you by Valvoline. People who know use Valvoline. And by Dodge, a division of the Chrysler Corporation.
Why use Valvoline motor oil? It's the #1 choice of Indy 500 chief mechanics, Daytona 500 chief mechanics, NHRA mechanics, and Baja 1000 mechanics. For use in their race cars and in their own cars. Any more questions? People who know use Valvoline.
Quote, a mid-sized Dodge Dakota with an optional 230 horsepower Magnum V8 outpowers, outhauls, and just plain outpulls even full-size 5-liter V8s from Ford and Chevy, unquote. Dodge trucks with Magnum engines, the most powerful line of trucks anywhere.
Remember the rules of the road, Andy said, as we steer towards Music City, USA. Keep plenty of the old mill up top and a real hit-kicking compilation of the country's greatest in the deck. Music so good you'll forget the dials on the dash. The one thing about being out in the country, you never run out of folks willing to lend a hand.
You boys need a ride.
And just as long as you don't run dry of the old Milwaukee, it doesn't get any better than this.
For a chance at 10 of the country's greatest hits, some hit-kicking music, check out an old Milwaukee display.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Great ball of fire! You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. So much love drives a man insane. You broke my will, what a thrill. Doesn't this raise a great ball of fire?
Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug.
Back at the Chief Auto Parts Sports Nationals as we get ready for more round 2 action in top alcohol dragster. And Steve Evans, the man in the far lane, has had everybody talking so far this weekend.
Yeah, that is Brooks Brown, the guy I talked to earlier in our show in the Open with the new national record at 5:69. But one thing his opponent, Jay Payne, knows is that those nitro cars have never achieved much consistency. Only 2 drivers since about 1975 have actually won an event title with an injected car. Brooks Brown being one of them. He's only 20 years of age. You just saw his car owner back away. That is Tom Topic out of the beautiful Central California town of Bass Lake, California, is Brooks Brown. Jay Payne, lives about 15 miles from Pomona Raceway here in Upland, California. He's been running all kinds of alcohol cars as long as the category has been in existence. Darn good racer. And I'll tell you, Brooks Brown knows that. Even though Brown appears on paper to have a big advantage, he has got to match wheels off the starting line. You can't be another Bill Barney or Blaine Johnson.
No, Larry Sutton sure has proven the fact that upsets can happen here. And look at this.
They lead very close together, but a full car length victory. And I'll tell you, this has got to be demoralizing for the alcohol guys. Brooks Brown runs a 586 and puts away Jay Payne's 593. A 593 should win just about any drag race you're in, but not when you race that nitro car. Both ran almost exactly the same speed at 233 miles an hour and change. With the wheels in the air, you can see how much harder the Jay Payne car launched. Plus, he had about a 100th advantage off the mark. But here is where they fear the nitro cars. Look at Brooks Brown assert himself in the far lane. Jay Payne is going, oh my gosh, he's done it to another one. This time it's me.
All right. Well, you tell me he looked a little grim at half track, but you drove around him, huh?
Yeah, he was out on me at half track and put it in high gear, drove right around him again.
This old rascal's running better and better all the time.
Yeah, it's getting pretty consistent, and that's the way people said it can't be done, but we're proving it can be done.
86, Brooks. Is that going to work for you? You got to step it up a little bit.
That should work. We're going to see if we can step it up for the next 2 rounds. We'd like to stay ahead of them a little bit.
Go get them.
All right, thanks.
Brooks Brown having a darn good time. This whole team does. They race strictly for the fun of it. It's their recreation. Okay, here we go. Third race in this round, second round actually, of Top Alcohol Dragster. Kind of a misnomer with that nitro car in here, but he certainly belongs in the category. All right, and next up is Russ Conroy in the near lane, being backed up in his burnout tracks, which is very important. Now, his car sports the fairly conventional Keith Black engine, around 460 cubic inches. He qualified 13 at a 6.02, beat Steve Marie in round number 1, and comes from San Dimas, California, which is about a block away from Pomona Raceway. The other car, Rick Santos, that's a whole other animal, though, Brock, from Northern California.
It sure is, Steve. That is a small block Chevy. Most of these, as you know, are big blocks and a very rare machine. And take a good look, because it's the last time you got to see him today. Santos red lights against Conroy, who moves on. Conroy actually only runs a 629 at 160. Santos would have had him beat at a 605, 221. But the red light put him away, Steve.
Wasn't even a close red light, a .36, a .40 being perfect. All right, up next, this will be the final race in this round of Top Alcohol Dragsters. Over in the far lane, in fact, there you see her doing her burnout. That is Tiffany Highland, and she will be up against Frank Pedregon of the Drag Racing Pedregons. He has 2 brothers in the nitro classes, world champion Cruz Pedregon and his brother Tony in Top Fuel. So this family knows a lot about the quarter mile. Now, before we get to this race, as the engines continue to build up heat and they concentrate on getting their act together, let's go down to the far end. Brock Yates is with Russ Conroy.
Hi, Russ.
Hi, Brock.
Good to see you, sir.
Nice seeing you.
29. He got a Rick took a red light. So did you know that? Did you see that?
I didn't see the red light, but I saw the wind light come on, and I shook it. And so with the wind light on, the shake means I'm not going to get low ET away from Brooks Brown.
No, I don't think you're even close, right?
No, I not even if I left yesterday. So I went ahead and clicked it and saved the parts, and then
you got to. He's running in the in 89s, and he thinks that's pretty tough. That's pretty tough to beat. Can you handle it? Can you step this thing up to that?
No, I cannot step up to that, and I'm going to have a break to win it. I can get to a high 90, 590, 98, 95, but no, I'm not in his ball game yet.
Well, let's go find a 90 and see what happens.
All right, Brock.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Sure, Rod.
That wasn't an interview. That was just a nice, friendly conversation between 2 guys. That was terrific. All right, Tiffany Highland. She is really a comer in this sport. She qualified number 6 at a 597. So if anybody can run with these nitro cars, Tiffany might be the one to do it. In fact, she beat a nitro car in round number 1. Mark Nyber out of Phoenix, Arizona. Tiffany hails from Springfield, Oregon, and has some good corporate sponsorship. Frank Pedregon out of Phillips Ranch, California, which is about 3/10 of a mile from Pomona Raceway. The locals are doing very, very well here today in alcohol dragster competition.
I suppose the Pedregon family can sit on their front porch and listen to how Frank does today.
Oh, I guarantee you they can. All right, Tiffany Highland, she qualified 6th. Pedregon qualified 3rd, but yet only a few hundredths of a second separate him. That's how tightly compacted this field was from qualifying. Very competitive. It's a good race. It's a real good race. Tiffany has to come from behind, and she does it cleanly. Her mom likes that a lot. A 591. She improves tremendously in her qualifying effort at 232 miles an hour. Pedregon slows down from his qualifying try at a 6:04, 229 miles an hour. But Pedregon was off the mark first by 200, and that's something Tiffany will have to be very careful of. You just can't be 200s late and continue in elimination with this kind of a field.
She had good power on the top end, though, and that will put her into the next round, the final four. So Tiffany Highland moves on.
And in the semifinal round, Tiffany Highland will take on Larry the Snake Sutton. 2 hole shots to his credit so far in eliminations. And in the second pair, it'll be Brooks Brown, the killer nitro car, against Brock's friend, Russ Conroy. Right now, let's go down the far end. Brock is with Tiffany Highland. She's going to be a happy kid.
Well, Tiffany, good strong pass in 91. And I think you're the only one other than Brooks that within the 5s in that round. So got to be pretty encouraging.
Oh, it's very exciting. Yesterday was our first 591, and then again today. And I think we've really got it into it this time, and I'm really hoping for a win today.
Go get them.
Thank you.
If she can stay cool and cut some good lights, she might win her first ever national event right here at Pomona. Stay with us, everyone. We will be right back.
You protect yourself inside your car. Protect yourself under the hood, too.
Walmart helps you take care of your car and your budget.
Haviland Formula 3 provides complete engine protection. Or try Haviland Synthetic Motor Oil for better protection for the long run. Either way, you add more life to your car.
And because we always sell for less, Walmart's better protection, too.
Like a seatbelt for your wallet. Walmart. Always the low price. Always.
To make horsepower, you need the best equipment available. Dynamax Performance Exhaust. With its patented flow directors and larger diameter flow tubes, Dynamax products deliver the smoothest exhaust flow. The result, more power for you. Dynamax Performance Exhaust. Dynamax mufflers have the hottest looks and sound on the street today. Dynamax Performance Exhaust. For racetrack power on your street vehicle, go with proven performance from Dynamax Performance Exhaust.
Getting into shape, that's good. Getting into athlete's foot, that's not. Especially a really tough case.
The irritating itch, the painful cracking, the burning. That's when you want a medicine that acts tough. Tough-actin Tinactin. Tinactin cures even the tough cases of athlete's foot fungus. And Tinactin is clinically proven.
No wonder it's the antifungal most recommended by pharmacists.
Got a tough case of athlete's foot? Get the medicine that acts tough. Tough-actin Tinactin.
Want to trade? What you got? Give me an orange juice, I'll give you my sandwich. I got a sandwich. Give me an orange juice for my donut. Half deal dry. Deal.
There's nothing like 100% pure Florida orange juice with the vitamins, minerals, and taste that make you feel so good.
Hey, you drank more than half. I had to. My half was at the bottom.
100% pure Florida orange juice. It makes you feel so good.
That's Lou Gasparelli's top alcohol funny car being towed into the staging lanes. He's going to face Jackie Stidham in a few minutes in round 2. But right now, we've got the national champion, Bob Newberry, going against Brett Williamson in more round 2 action in the funny car. Steve Evans and Newberry, well, he's off to a good start so far this season.
Absolutely. This is the initial event. He qualified #1. He was triumphant in round #1, held 1 week ago before the weather moved in. And Brett Williamson has to be very concerned racing Newberry. He is, after all, the Winston champion, as we said. And he has lane choice, Newberry does, compared their elapsed times from first round a week ago, a 6:01 to a 6:15. But Williamson has proved that he can run as quick as a 6:02 because he did that in qualifying. And in round #1 last week, beat Gary Selzy.
Well, Newberry is going at this whole campaign, Steve, as he said, really on a very conservative basis. He's not going out to set any big ETs. He's not doing anything other than to run as consistently as he possibly can and to just, as he said, take one round at a time. And I think that's really the only way he can be successful. Remember, this man has been a player in top alcohol funny cars for a long time, whereas Brett Williamson out of Campbell, California, not quite as well known, but a good, solid competitor.
Well, Bob Newberry, Schenectady, New York, he feels that a conservative approach is necessary because the nemesis in the class, obviously, is Pat Austin, who's the second winningest driver in NHRA history. But with Austin trying to campaign an alcohol car and a top fuel car, I think Newberry feels that's too big a fight to try to take and that will be his Achilles heel. So Bob's just going to go out and win as many races and rounds of races as he can to stack up the points. Parker Avenue, they call this in honor of the late police chief of Pomona, California, that was so instrumental in getting this racetrack going back in the early to mid-50s. Ralph Parker. All right, it's a great start. Boy, they leave right together. Williamson is in it, but not quite enough. Newberry outpowers him, a 597 at 232 to a 604 at 219 miles per hour. Newberry was off the line, just a wink ahead. That could have been the difference in staging even. For all intents and purposes, it was if one throttle foot went down on both cars. And you can see Williamson, he was looking pretty good. Right now, the fans from the San Jose area where he's from were thinking, oh boy, this could be our guy. But then the Eastern invader, Bob Newberry, asserted himself, and it really wasn't very close. So Newberry moves into the semifinals. Brock is at the far end with him.
Well, Bob, a 97. Not a bad way to start the day.
No, we're happy with 97. We qualify with 93, but it's a little warmer. You'll be a little careful on our racetrack, and we can stay there and not make any mistakes. Hopefully, we'll be in the final, and maybe we can win this race.
Racetrack seems to be in pretty decent shape, and is the air going to get much warmer, or do you think it'll stay just about the way it is?
It stays pretty consistent here. Maybe later in the day it might cool off a little bit if we're fortunate enough to still be here. But the track, I think the heat's going to come on it pretty quick because the sun's been on it ever since this morning. So we're going to have to watch the track a little bit.
95, 97, think can win it?
Well, I don't know about if it'll win it. You're going to have to stay pretty close to that to stay in the race. And then I think when it comes down to the final, we're going to have to step on it a little.
Got to get serious. Okay, go get him, Bob.
Thank you.
The analytical mind of Bob Newberry. When you drive and tune, you've got to be thinking all the time. Right, here's a guy who's going to get a great big break right now. It is local favorite Lou Gasparelli. He qualified 16th, which means he barely made the show. He was on the bubble and had to sweat that out. Only ran a 6:21, but he's got a bye because his competition, Jackie Stedham, apparently could not make the call. Gasparelli from West Covina, California. Half the people in the grandstands probably have a vested interest in this car. They have the largest crew and the biggest bunch of friends and fans around their pit area of maybe any car. Gasparelli, a former Winter Nationals champion, it's been a few years ago. He'd like to do it one more time. And I have a feeling Gasparelli will run it all the way through. He doesn't have to. He can just idle down the racetrack. Not his style. Not on your home track. Lou Gasparelli bounces his way to, oh, baby, a 596. He runs even better than Newberry at 235 miles an hour. He runs faster as well. So Gasparelli is going to be a huge threat. Of course, this car will be, too. That's the nitro machine of Brooks Brown, getting some new bearings and a clutch adjustment. We'll see him a little later on.
Quote, a mid-sized Dodge Dakota with an optional 230 horsepower Magnum V8 outpowers, outhauls, and just plain outpulls even full-size 5-liter V8s from Ford and Chevy, unquote. Dodge trucks with Magnum engines, the most powerful line of trucks anywhere.
You don't cut corners when maintaining the great American home of Henry Ford. The paint these professionals use? Sears Easy Living interior and Weatherbeater exterior paints. And right now, you can save up to $4 a gallon. These Easy Living and Weatherbeater paints just $10.99 a gallon. And these Sears Best Easy Living and Weatherbeater paints only $15.99 a gallon. Easy Living and Weatherbeater paints for great American homes like yours.
Saturday, only on TNN, the motorsports leader. They're known as the Indy Cars of the Water. They move from a dead stop to 100 miles per hour in under 5 seconds, with top speeds exceeding 135. They turn faster and sharper than any other race vehicle in the world. It's the International Outboard Grand Prix Formula One Champ Racing Series. Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern, only on TNN Motorsports.
It's the Monster Truck video everyone's been waiting for. It's the all-new Monster Truck Bloopers and Motor Mayhem. And it's gonna blow you away. First, see all the hottest trucks. Bigfoot, Gravedigger, Snake Bite, Taurus, and more. Jumping, smashing, crashing, flipping, and flying through mountains of metal. Then get ready for more explosive action as the mud racing maniacs pour on the speed. And the thundering titans of pulling pour on the power. It's action so hot, you'll feel the heat, smell the smoke, and taste the flames. It's one of the most unbelievable collections of Monster Truck Super Bloopers and Motor Mayhem you'll see anywhere. This is the one Monster Truck video you just gotta have. Order now, and you'll also get a set of Monster Truck trading cards free. This incredible offer is not available in stores, so you must order yours today.
Call 1-800-238-9300 to get your VHS copy of Monster Truck Bloopers and Motor Mayhem for $19.95 plus shipping and handling. Order now and get a set of Monster Truck trading cards free. Use your credit card and call 1-800-238-9300.
We're back at Pomona, California for more of the NHRA Chief Auto Parts Sports Nationals as round 2 action of Top Alcohol Funny Car action continues. And Steve, the car that we see completing its burnout has probably dominated this sport, this particular component of the sport, really more than any other than Bob Glidden and Pro Stock.
Oh, absolutely, and he's the first car that's had lane choice that has taken the far lane. We're talking about Pat Austin, the Castrol GTX Oldsmobile bodied machine. And is that a beautiful car in the near lane? Oh, man, I mean, that is Mike Andriotti. That is, geez, one of the prettiest paint jobs I've seen in a long, long time. Going back to what I said earlier, in my opinion, these are the hardest cars to drive in all of drag racing. And I'm talking Pro Stock, Top Fuel, Funny Car, the whole deal. It's because they have the same drivetrain as the dragsters we saw earlier. Bigger engines at about 550 cubic inches, 3-speed transmission, but the engine is out in front of the driver. It doesn't have the amount of weight over the rear wheels, and Pat Austin well knows these cars move all over the racetrack. It takes a real journeyman driver to get one to go straight. Mike Andriotti out of Colusa, California, which is up on the Central Coast, is one of the better-known California drivers. He doesn't venture out of the state much. He can run 3 national events within the state, the 2 here at Pomona, the one up at Sears Point in August. Now, Austin, as I said, had lane choice. He qualified number 3, beat Tom Bristow in round number 1. Andriotti qualified number 6. He put away Craig Peterson in round 1, which was, of course, a week ago. A big crowd has returned here to Pomona. It certainly hasn't dampened their enthusiasm all of the rain. We've got a beautiful day and a beautiful race. Almost identical reaction times. Pat Austin, a lot of smoke out of the car, but still he runs low elapsed time of the entire event for Alcohol Funny Car at 5:90, 2:35. Andriotti, I told you he was pretty good, 5:98. He didn't surrender easily at 231 miles an hour. Now look again, I think we'll see some smoke out of the Austin car as it gets further down the racetrack.
Actually, Andriotti had him off the line by just a few thousandths, so it was almost a perfect start by both cars. But as you say, it's a 5:90 for Pat Austin, but it may be that he hurt something. You can see some smoke out of the car right there as they cross the line. So we'll find out. Maybe some troubles for Pat Austin.
Long, smoky burnout from Mert Littlefield in the near lane, a supercharger manufactured by trade. He'll be up against another member of the Austin clan. This is Pat Austin's Uncle Buck. Bucky Austin from Tacoma, Washington, and he is one tough competitor on and off the racetrack. Bucky's not a guy you want to have an argument with, I guarantee you. Now let's go down to Brock and see what we can find out about the Austin car.
Well, Pat, Newberry runs a 97. You run a 90, so you got to feel pretty good about that at this point.
Oh, we feel real good. We got a little bit of problem. I mean, something happened there. It started smoking. We'll have to look. It's got a little oil around the head gaskets. We'll have to take a look. But the object is to get by that round. That's what we did. So got 2 more to go today.
Good. But basically, the car feels stout. Nothing really hurt bad, I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah, it feels real stout. And we're just, you know, really, we had a late start this year. We didn't get any test runs due to the unfortunate deals. And it's happened to us early on. So this is really the 4th full run on the car. And we're real excited about it.
Better be. Good job.
Thank you, guys.
Boy, Pat needed an emotional tune-up. He had a horrible top fuel crash in Phoenix just a couple of weeks ago testing that car, which precluded them doing anything with the alcohol car. But obviously, they haven't lost much of their edge. Bucky Austin from Fife, Washington, lives right out on the Sound. As Bucky says, when the tide's out, the table is set. Beautiful place. Mert Littlefield from Garden Grove, California. Littlefield used to drive a Nitro Funny Car and took a number of years off to field a very successful business manufacturing superchargers, and now he's back having a good time. and doing R&D in his own product. You see poking out of the body there, the 1471 style GMC Supercharger.
Well, as a matter of fact, he knocked off Randy Anderson in round number 1, a good, strong runner. Look at this. Littlefield got out really well and then breaks as Bucky Austin moves on to the semifinals.
Yeah, Bucky to 6:02, 231 miles an hour. It really wasn't in this one because Littlefield had a much better reaction time. No, those aren't the Alps. That's Mount Baldy, just above Pomona Raceway. In the semis, it'll be Pat Austin up against his Uncle Buck. Pat will have the lane choice. And it'll be Lou Gasparelli with lane choice over Winston champion Bob Newberry. The fans will like that one for sure. Back in the pits, there is Tiffany Hyland discussing her upcoming race with Larry Sutton, with her mom and the rest of the crew. I'm sure they're telling her, just don't be late, kid. Sutton has been the master of the Christmas tree with 2 successive hole shot victories. Well, maybe Tiffany's headed in the trailer to practice on one of those little portable Christmas trees. Right now, let's go down to Brock Yates with Bucky Austin.
Well, Bucky, we know it's going to be an Austin win the next time around, but Pat right now has got a little edge on you. He ran a 90 and you're a 6:01, so you got to find a little bit.
Yeah, I sure do. Yesterday we had some problems testing again, and so I think we're back to square one from where we were last week. Definitely has a performance edge on everybody. So, you know, I just got to do a better job of driving. We got to hop it up a little bit, and we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Going to be a great race no matter what.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bucky was referring to testing yesterday. Because of the week delay, NHRA let the racers come out and make some test and tune runs yesterday so everybody could get back in sync with the racetrack. Stay with us. We'll have more competition from Pomona.
All the chapel bells were ringing in the little valley town.
Remember the hits we all grew up with? Great songs we'll never forget.
Hello, Wall.
Now, Heartland Music presents 40 of the biggest classic hits in country music history.
Please help me, I'm falling in love with you.
Out in the West Texas town of El Paso, I fell in love with a Mexican girl.
4 big albums.
They say don't go
40 classics.
On Wolverton Mountain.
Like Jim Reeves.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
All the original hits.
I can't get over how she said.
So many unforgettable songs.
Oh, lonesome me, Abilene.
Country classics. 40 legendary hits in one historic collection.
You walk by and I fall.
But Country Classics is not in stores.
Make the world go away.
Please stay tuned to order now.
Just because I ask a friend about her.
Call 1-800-833-8833 to save all COD charges and pay only $19.98 for records or cassettes or $24.98 for 2 CDs, plus $4 shipping. Use your credit card or send check or money order to Country Classics, P.O. Box 94040, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Remember, save all COD charges by sending check or money order or use your credit card.
We're looking down on Pomona Raceway at the Los Angeles County Fairplex, Pomona, California, where the National Hot Rod Association has just completed, and very proudly, I might say, $4.5 million worth of improvements, 30,000 new seats, a beautiful timing tower with executive and hospitality suites, wonderful facility, one of the best in the country, Steve.
Absolutely, and we go into competition eliminator featuring 2 of the best in the country. David Nickens, a former Winston champ 2 years ago, as a matter of fact, finished 3rd in points last year, as witnessed by his number 3. Nickens out of Houston, Texas. He and his brother Robert have a very successful engine building business, Nickens Brothers Racing Engines. Larry Kopp, you heard Bob Fry talk to him earlier, very confident guy out of Baltimore, Maryland. He gets the long distance award. And this is handicap staggered start racing. Kopp, he has a 906 national index, Nickens an 810. The difference is 9600ths of a second, and that is dialed into the Christmas tree. These are both 1982 Oldsmobile Cutlass automobiles. The big difference is under the hood. A V8, the car on the right-hand side of your screen, Nickens. A V6, for Kopp. So there's the huge difference in performance. And this handicap racing makes it possible to group a whole lot of different hot rods together using the national indexes as the equalizer. It's a lot of fun, but it takes a lot of patience on the part of the guy who leaves second, which in this case will be David Nixon by almost a full second. Can he wait it out? Yes! Yes, he did. In fact, Nixon cuts a fairly good light. And he gets around Kopp at 7:54, 174 miles an hour. That is a half a second under the national index, but there's no breakout in this kind of racing. Now, even though it's a staggered start, reaction time is still absolutely critical because it affects the difference down at the finish line. And in this case, it was Kopp at a .63 reaction time. 5.0 is perfect in sportsman racing because it's a half a second treat, not a 4:10, as we saw in the alcohol cars. Nickens had the big top in charge. Gosh, it's tough to be the guy that has to sit there for a whole second. But the payoff is if the other guy red lights, you win automatically. So that's kind of the equalizer. All right, so Nickens defeats Kopp, and Brock Yates is down at the far end to talk to the man from Houston, Texas.
Well, David, how's she running?
Well, I'll tell you, Brock, the car's been, we struggled a little bit the first weekend. We're kind of getting a handle of it this weekend, and proves with persistence that things will come around. And I tell you, if I can do my job driving, we're going to have a good shot at winning this race.
Yeah, the day I seem to be building a little bit of a headwind. Will that bother you at all?
Well, I don't think it'll affect my car as much as will some of these Altereds and Roadsters. But I tell you what, if we can do our job up on the start line, we're going to be in good shape. We ran a tough guy there in Larry Kopp, and I tell you what, he's going to be a contender all year, and we were fortunate to get by him.
Well, we know you're going to do your job. I hope the car works and everything runs well for you.
Well, we thank you very much, and we're just proud to be here.
Well, David paying tribute to the aerodynamics of that Oldsmobile Cutlass as opposed to one of these pretty hot rods like this gorgeous Roadster here that is being driven by Jeff Krug. And Brock, it's the variety that makes Competition Eliminator so appealing.
Yeah, it's just terrific visual impact. I mean, we had Kopp and Nickens, and they were running in altered cars, but they were modern, contemporary sedans. Jeff Krug in that beautiful kind of street rod Roadster-style automobile, and Ed Shuck Jr. out of Hayward, California, in a classic rear-engine rail dragster.
And I'll tell you, Shuck, that is the car to beat. He was a #1 qualifier, runs on an index of 810. The C Street Roadster index of 890, as we explained before, just subtract the 2, and there's the head start. 8.0 seconds, 0.8 of a second, and it will go to the Roadster. In round #1, it was Shuck. As we said, he qualified #1, beating former Top Fuel world champion Rob Bruins, who's back in the sport in Competition Eliminator. Krug, he qualified 13th, beat Jerry Gravo in round #2. So watch the lights. Good green light racing. Whoa, and there's the disadvantage to a short wheelbase car. All over the racetrack was the Roadster, and the winner is Shuck from South El Monte, California at 778, 144 miles an hour. Krug kind of hobbles it through at 929, 142. Now watch, you can see where he got into trouble. A lot of weight transfer, very light on the front end. Maybe got a little bit out of the groove. And the last thing he wants to do is put a blue stripe on the concrete wall here at Pomona. But he got it out of the racing line, and that was all it took to open the door for Mr. Shuck, who will go on to the semifinals.
All right, a couple of more interesting automobiles come to the line. That is Rick Hort in that double B altered blown Corvette running on gasoline. Mark Chaperone in the other lane in a pretty contemporary Oldsmobile altered automobile, more like a pro stock car, Steve Evans, body style-wise.
Speaking of body styles, Mark Chaperone and his family from San Diego are big time in the body and fender business all over that part of Southern California. Rick Hart from Kissimmee, Florida, another guy that made a long, long trip. But with his little double B altered, he's on an 821 index Chaperone with the G altered at 9 flat. So as you might imagine, it's a supercharged car who has to wait 79/100ths of a second. It takes guts to run a blown car on gas in Competition Eliminator because you give up a tremendous amount of consistency. But the true hot rodders that love those blown cars cannot be dissuaded. And here he goes. He's got a shot at getting into the semifinal round.
Well, it's going to take some discipline because Hort is going to leave on him by almost a full second.
But it's Chaperone with the better reaction time. Here comes the blown power. Oh, short by a few inches. Mark Chaperone goes to the semis at 8:51, 158 miles an hour. We got to give you the time speed though on that great vet. A 7:69 at 167 miles an hour. Now that is a ride. Chaperone had the better reaction time by 0.03 of a second, but here came Horde. Great looking Corvette. The fans have a soft spot for any of the blown cars. I think the competition eliminator. And I'll tell you, he could, with a better reaction time, might have won this race. That 300 Chaperone put in the bank off the mark might well have made the difference. Look how close it really was. Oh, yeah, 100 might have made the difference. Brock?
8:51, Mark.
That'll fly. That's right there.
Gonna buy that?
I'm going to buy that. That's 49 under. We're not CIC'd, and I think everybody else going to the finals is CIC'd except for David Nickens, and he's on the other side.
So you're feeling good about today, huh?
Well, you know, I sat down with Tony before the race, and he said, brother, you got to go up there with ice in your veins and just do your thing. It's you in that lane. You just do your thing, baby, and you're going to be there at the end.
Good pep talk. Worked.
It worked real well. I'm proud of him, and I'm proud of the crew.
Good job, Mark.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye now.
CIC means if you run more than a half a second under the index, the very next round they're going to tack an additional 0.05 of a second penalty on top of it. That's why they're trying to win with like an 8:49 instead of an 8:51.
Keeps the competition really even, rather than adding weight or reducing the displacement or doing all sorts of mechanical stuff to the cars to slow them down. They just dial in a little extra time into that really magic electronic timing system the NHRA uses.
That's right. Bob Haas, he understands being CIC'd. It's happened to him many times on a Simi Valley, California. He runs hard. Tom Hayner from Scottsdale, Arizona will be his competitor. Now, it's a C Economy Dragster. That's a carburetor with an automatic transmission up against Hayner's A Dragster, which is the fastest class in all of Competition Eliminator. They are capable, I believe, this year of hitting 200 miles an hour with A Dragsters.
Well, Tom Hayner in the near lane is going to sit for a while, and that is going to take some discipline. And I'll tell you what, Steve, it's been amazing. We have not had any red lights in this round with these cars.
No, we have not, and that's amazing considering some of the long handicaps. Hayner's car in the near lane uses basically a pro stock style motor. Haas is away. He could not wait. Hayner by less than 0.03 of a second. Red light. I think he could have won it with a clean green. 698, 172, loses it. Haas a 783 at 169 miles an hour. So that will set up our pairings for the Competition Eliminator Final Four. It's going to be the San Diego driver, Mark Chaperone, up against Bob Haas, and Chaperone will have the lane choice. Good job, Mark. And the other half of the Comp Final Four, it is David Nickens up against Ed Schuck Jr. Nickens will have the lane choice over the dragster.
Did you see the red light in the other lane?
Yeah, I did. I'm a little slow today, so I'm trying to get lane choice over these guys. They're a little bit faster than me. So I'm pushing it out the back door, trying to get whatever I can out of this little small motor that Meropolis built for me. Bill builds a good motor, and I just want to make him look good, so I'm trying as hard as I can.
So you were squeezing the light too, huh?
Yeah, I got on it, so.
Good job. Well, onward and upward. And are you concerned about lack of horsepower in this thing?
No, it's not the horsepower. It's just this is new to me, this class, and I'm just trying to take every advantage I can. Bill's helped me a lot, and I just want to make sure I look good for him.
Good deal.
Thank you.
It ain't easy, especially if you're new to the competition. And here's a young woman who is very quickly earning a lot of respect in the alcohol dragster ranks. Tiffany Hylam will meet Larry Sutton when we come back to Pomona, California. Stay with us.
Remember the rules of the road, Andy said, as we steer towards Music City, USA. Keep plenty of the old mill up top and a real hit-kicking compilation of the country's greatest in the deck. Music so good you'll forget the dials on the dash. The one thing about being out in the country, you never run out of folks willing to lend a hand.
You boys need a ride.
And just as long as you don't run dry of the old Milwaukee, it doesn't get any better than this.
For a chance at 10 of the country's greatest hits, some hit-kicking music, check out an old Milwaukee display.
This is it.
The Rumble for the Recipe.
George Foreman versus KFC owner Russ Beeler. The prize, the Colonel's Secret.
I want it so bad I can taste it.
Uh-oh, Beeler's got help in his corner. They're pulling out chicken. Off come the gloves. Foreman can't resist that one-of-a-kind taste of the Colonel's original recipe chicken. This fight's over. Try it again yourself, because it's even better than you remember. Hurry to KFC.
You better get there before me.
We do chicken right.
You don't cut corners when maintaining the great American home of Henry Ford. The paint these professionals use? Sears Easy Living Interior and Weather Beater Exterior paints. And right now, you can save up to $4 a gallon. These Easy Living and Weather Beater paints just $10.99 a gallon. And these Sears Best Easy Living and Weather Beater paints only $15.99 a gallon. Easy Living and Weather Beater paints for great American homes like yours.
Here we go again, guys. Wow, I feel good. Yeah, this guy really gets around. He's got the auto lights. American Orient Paul, we're guaranteed. I feel good. Yeah, 2 years no matter how far he goes. That's why we've been everywhere. Vegas. I feel good. Yeah. Daytona. I would now. LA. Wherever we're going. Yeah. And we're not even tired. Wow.
We are getting ready for the first pair in the Top Alcohol Dragster Final Four here at Pomona. It'll be Russ Conroy against this man, Brooks Brown, in the nitro-powered dragster. But first, let's go down to Steve Evans with a report on what's happening to Pat Austin and that possible engine problem.
After all the smoke we saw to Pat Austin's car the previous round, we came to their pits expecting to see an engine change. They arrived here expecting to do one. Good news. All it did was blow a head gasket and didn't hurt the block or the cylinder head. And Walt Austin thinks that might have happened this morning warming the car up, and it got progressively worse with the tremendous boost they get out of that Whipple supercharger. But all's well in the Austin camp. About $4 fixed this one.
Boy, a lucky break for Pat Austin and his crew, which keeps him in the favorites position in alcohol funny cars, which is exactly the role this young man enjoys in Top Alcohol Dragster. Brooks Brown coming to the line against Russ Conroy, who says he's going to need a monster break to beat Brooks Brown.
And when you're racing an injected fuel dragster, sometimes you get the monster break because they break. They are so hard on parts, they tend to shock the tires loose. A lot can go wrong with one of those cars. Tom Topping has probably detuned this car a little bit to race Russ Conroy. Conroy whips Brown on the lights, but then the blower belt comes off his car, and Brooks Brown wins it at 584, only 218 miles an hour. Let's go down to the starting line. Bob Fry is with the car owner, Tom Topping. He's got to be pleased, headed for the final round.
Well, a 584 there. You pleased with that?
Yeah, very pleased with that. We're trying to keep it consistent. We've got an 84, 86, and 88. We keep stepping up a little bit like that, we ought to be able to win this thing, maybe.
Some people say these cars can't last 4 rounds. You have to prove them wrong.
Yeah, I think we'll prove that wrong. It hasn't hurt apart all so far this week. We'll just keep trying.
Another great job. And by the way, your pants are on fire.
They're sponsored by the Good Guys, which is a group that puts on all kinds of car shows and vintage drag races. And like old hot rodders, they love flames, even on their pants. Here you can see Conroy. He had a nice advantage over Brooks Brown until now. Watch this snake-looking thing fly off the motor. Right there. That's the blower belt coming off. Let's go down to Brooks at the other end with the finalists.
Well, Brooks said all nitro cars still working real good, 584.
Yeah, it's charging and running better every lap.
You're not going to obviously make a whole lot of changes, I wouldn't reckon.
No, we're just going to keep everything up to par and see if I can do what I can do on the start line.
Dump a little more in the old tank and have a go, huh?
Yeah, see if we can get a little quicker elapsed time out of it.
What do you think? I mean, you got pretty good conditions right now. You get a little headwind, but 84, would you take another 84?
Yeah, I'd take another 84 or a wind light. Doesn't bother me how I get it. The track will cool off, so it should probably run quicker for the final.
Good luck. We'll be watching.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
All right, if he has an Achilles heel, it's the reaction time, not his. The car just doesn't move quickly when he stands on the gas, the kind of clutch that they're using. Well, there is Tiffany Highland, the 5-year-old car out of the state of Oregon, up against local favorite Larry Sutton, his car owner, Jerry Darian. A couple of guys that have lived by the sword, Brock. By that, I mean pole shots. Can he get one more?
Well, he's already got Blaine Johnson and Bill Barney notched on his gun handle, so Tiffany Highland could be the next one. Can he do it 3 times in a row? Well, let's see.
All right, there is Sutton. He's in the near lane. He did not have lane choice. That went to Tiffany Highland, and she selected the far side. They're starting to lean in that direction. being carefully moved into the beams. You don't want to stage too deep. It cuts down the rollout and the amount of time that you can try to anticipate the light just a little bit. All right, so set in their lane, Tiffany Hyland on the far lane. One will go to the final round to race Brooks Brown. Whoa, it's a great start by Tiffany Hyland, and all out of shape and almost into the wall is Larry Sutton. Tiffany Hyland wins it at 5:94, 230 miles an hour, and by 0.03 of a second, not much, she had the better light. All right, let's go down to the starting line again with Bob Fry. Let's meet Sam Shockley, Tiffany's crew chief. Robert?
Sam, the car's making a lot of power, but the kid's doing her job too, isn't she?
Yeah, she's driving really well, and I'm pretty happy.
Really surprised the car's made those 3 good 590 runs in a row?
No, not really. I did a lot of work over the winter, and it's paying off, and she's driving well.
Going to be able to stop that injected car?
I don't know. We're going to have to step it up a little, aren't we?
Great job for Sam Shockley and Tiffany Hyland.
Okay, let's have another look at it. Watch Tiffany over in the far lane, and you'll see she leaves right with or a little bit ahead of Larry Sutton. But now let's watch the green car. He's got the wheels in the air. Right now, it goes into a horrible shake. You can see the body panels all vibrating. That shakes the tires loose, causes him to lose control. He gets pointed at the concrete and says, no, 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 no. So Larry Sutton wisely throws in the towel on this one. Tiffany Hyland goes to the final round where she will race Brooks Brown in that tough injected fuel car. Now, who will have the lane choice? Well, if you've been paying attention, you know that it's Brooks Brown because he's in the 580s and Tiffany's in the 590s. We'll be seeing that a bit later on. Okay, now let's join Brock.
Well, Tiffany, onward and upward. Now one more left.
Oh, I know it. I can't wait.
You got a 94. It's a pretty good stout time, and race car working well?
Yeah, it seems to be going real well.
Brooks laid down an 84, so you may have to step up a little bit. Is there anything left in here?
Oh, I think Sam will be able to do something to me.
Okay, good luck.
Thanks a lot.
See you in the final.
So it's the girl next door against the killer kid in the alcohol dragster category. Stay with us. We'll have funny cars.
Hey, have you been waiting all summer for the perfect time to paint? Well, guess what? Time's up. Because right now, Sherwin-Williams is having their perfect price sale. Weather Perfect exterior flat is only $10.99, and Style Perfect interior flat is just $8.99. The perfect price sale ends October 2nd, so now's the time to stop procrastinating and start painting. Hey, buddy, you missed a spot.
Getting into shape, that's good. Getting into athlete's foot, that's not. Especially a really tough case.
The irritating itch, the painful cracking, the burning. That's when you want a medicine that acts tough. Tough-actin Tinactin. Tinactin cures even the tough cases of athlete's foot fungus. And Tinactin is clinically proven.
No wonder it's the antifungal most recommended by pharmacists.
Got a tough case of athlete's foot? Get the medicine that acts tough. Tough-actin Tinactin.
Dead battery. She says she left her lights on all day. Over.
10-4, I got her. Out. When you buy a Die Hard, you get a lot more than the power of a great battery. You get the peace of mind that comes from Sears Emergency Service. If you ever need a jump start, we'll do it for free. You're all set. Anytime, anywhere. Die Hard. Only at Sears Tire and Auto Center. We're driven to satisfy.
One use of STP Fuel Injector Cleaner helps remove clogging deposits. And that should be of passing interest to a lot of drivers. STP Fuel Injector Cleaner.
Why use Valvoline motor oil? For their race cars and their own cars, Valvoline is the #1 choice of race mechanics from Indy 500 to Daytona 500 to NHRA to Baja to SCCA.
A quick word about NHRA Now, presented by Castrol GTX. It's a 24-hour drag racing information line with the latest info on your favorite drivers and events. Call 1-900-468-NHRA. You'll be billed by your local phone company. Well, welcome back to Pomona, everyone. I'm Steve Evans, along with Brock Yates and Bob Fry. And here we go into the semis of the blown alcohol cars. And there is the crowd favorite, I guarantee you, Lou Gasparelli. And here burning out is the invader from the east, the Winston champion, Bob Newberry. This is truly east meets west, Brock.
No question about it. And I'll tell you what, Newberry's going to have his hands full with Lou Gasparelli. He's run really well at Pomona. He knows this racetrack very well. And as you say, if there's any reason to hope for some kind of psychic support from the fans, he sure has got it here because, as you said, Bob Newberry all the way from back east runs the entire Winston Championship Tour, though, and he's been here a bunch of times, so it isn't like he's a stranger to Pomona.
And one other ace that Gasparelli is holding is lane choice, and he's selected the far side. I personally don't think there's any advantage in lane choice right now, other than maybe a psychological one. I mean, every advantage you could possibly have makes you feel a little bit better about the race.
Well, there is a man right there that is about as cool a head as there is in this business. He doesn't ever seem to get rattled. He never seems to show a lot of emotion, but you can be sure in the seat that he's in right now, it takes a ton of emotion to run one of these things properly.
Well, Lou Gasparelli has never been accused of being without emotion, as we'll see if Gasparelli proceeds through this competition. All right, Gasparelli over on the far or right-hand side of your screen as we look head-on. Bob Newberry's connected in New York. You see the body start to rattle from the torque of the engine. They're pre-staged. Newberry's in, Gasparelli's in. Newberry sound asleep. Gasparelli, huge hole shot. Newberry charges. It is not enough. The Southern California product, Lou Gasparelli, goes into the finals at 599.234 to Newberry's 599.231. The difference was off the mark. Bob Fry?
599 against the Winston champ. After you guys broke in qualifying last week, did you ever figure you'd get to the finals this week?
Well, we went home and we just put all of our old parts back together again, and this is what it shows.
Louis put 2 good runs back-to-back, Bob.
Yeah, we're happy. We've never run 5s at Pomona, and this is, I guess, it might be our day.
They've run 2 5s, and they beat number 1.
Bob DeVore has been a big part of winning combinations in the alcohol ranks for many years. Look at Gasparelli. He not only cut a tremendous light of 4-2, Newberry was way off his game with a 5-1 light. So Gasparelli theoretically could have run about a 6-10 and still have beaten Newberry. Gasparelli had a bigger speed, even though here it appears, I guess just a camera angle, that Newberry is charging. All right, terrific race. Gasparelli to the final. Here's Brian.
I'll tell you what, Lou, it don't get a whole lot closer, a lot better than that. Both 99s, you got him on a hole shot, just a super drag race.
Oh, boy, it sure felt good. Real pleased that we did beat him, obviously.
Sure. And to beat him is in such a great race. I mean, it's just perfect. You just had him a wink off the line and just held it. You both, as I say, ran identical ETs. You were a little bit quicker to the thousandths of a second. I think a 99.4 to a 99.5 or something like that.
Well, to be truthful with you, I didn't know what happened. I promised myself I wasn't going to look over there. I was going to run Lou's race, and that's what I did.
Race car held together, no problems, no oil, no anything?
Oh, the car's great. The crew, man, I mean, they've worked hard all week, and they really deserve it. We're going to take this race.
Go get them. Good job.
Thank you very much.
Not bad for a bunch of old parts, as his crew chief Bob DeVore said. All right, who is going to race Lou Gasparelli in the final round? Will it be Pat Austin? A lot of people would bet on that man, #2 in the world last year, which was a shock that he wasn't #1. All right, right now, as Pat Austin backs up to face his own uncle, Bucky, let's again go down to Brock with a guy who's got to be, well, a bit demoralized at the race that we just all watched.
Bob, it's one of those deals that you just hate to see somebody lose. I mean, it was a classic drag race. Just couldn't be a whole lot closer than it was.
Well, I think Louis deserved the win. From what I understand, the numbers were a 99 to a 99, and Louis left on me first, and that's what it's all about. When you drive good, you should win.
Yeah, exactly. The reaction times were very close, but, I mean, this is a game of thousandths of seconds, and it proved it in that race.
Well, we had hoped to be there first, but Louis really deserved that one, and it'll be a pretty good race with him in a final.
Good. Well, we'll see that #1 car again.
We'll be back. Thank you.
Gotta admire that man. No excuses whatsoever. All right, Pat Austin and Bucky Austin. Interesting, both families involved in the same industry in the Northwest, and that is the exhaust business and radiator business. They're not a real close family. In fact, there have been some pretty good feuds over the years between the two of them, but they all seem to be smiling and not exchanging speed secrets, certainly, but at least cordial each other, Brock.
That's right, and Bucky definitely the underdog, but he is always capable of an upset. He doesn't run the full circuit, but when he shows up, he usually comes to play.
Bucky away first. He's got a shot. Oh, but Austin, with his new head gasket, pounds out a 593 at 237 miles an hour. That's going to give him lane choice over Gasparelli in the final round. Let's again go to Bob Fry with Walt Austin, Pat's dad.
Just a string of 590s. Tell us what happened in that last round where we saw that smoke come out.
Oh, we had a mechanical error.
Fixed it this time, didn't you?
Yeah, it was no big deal. Didn't really hurt anything.
So it's a battle of the West Coast cars in the finals. They'll take on Louis Gasparelli.
Well, maybe you ought to try a new deodorant or something. No, that's just Walt Austin, a man of very, very few words. All right, so the finals are set. It is Pat Austin against Lou Gasparelli. Austin has the lane choice by 7/100ths of a second. That's a pretty big margin. Let's go down to Brock with the winning driver.
Well, Pat, it's always great to see the Austins go at each other. That was a good race. But most important, you're going up against Gasparelli, and he's running real strong as well.
Yeah, you know, all these guys out here are running real good. The pace has stepped up this year, definitely. I mean, in all classes that I've seen this weekend. I'm just glad that we're going into the final round. You know, that's your objective, is take a round at a time, and that's what we're doing. Unfortunate to race my uncle, you know, in the semis. I'd like to race him in the final, but, you know, somebody's got to lose, and Bucky's a tough racer, and I like racing him because it's a lot of fun for us, but we're going in the final round.
Pat, wind's kicking up a little bit. It's almost a headwind. Did it bother the car at all?
Not really. The Sleek Castrol Oldsmobile, you know, it just shoots right down through there through the wind, and the way the track conditions are today, I don't think a wind is too much of a problem right now.
Okay, so good luck in the final.
Thank you.
An incredible drag racer, Pat Austin. Stay with us, everyone. When we come back, we'll have the semifinals of Competition Eliminator. Ought to be real close action.
What drives Darrell Waltrip?
I like to compete against the other guys. Your skills against the other guys' skills. Out-drive, out-think, outsmart, whatever. It's a real chess game for me, and I get a big thrill out of that. I love racing. I can't think of a better way to make a living. I never want to do anything else.
Darrell Waltrip and TNN Motorsports. When it comes to live NASCAR racing, no one plays as hard.
Power plays on TNN Motorsports.
Summit Racing has America's lowest prices on performance parts. That's right, one call to Summit gets you top brand names, guaranteed lowest prices, free shipping, fast, friendly service 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. One call gets you parts like these for your street performance engine. Get lowest prices on fluid damper harmonic dampers. Know when to shift and save big with AutoGauge shift line tachometers. Power your small block Chevy with affordable Y-in stealth intake manifolds. And protect yourself with RJS 5-way safety harnesses. Call now and get a Summit t-shirt, ball cap, decal, hat pin, keychain, and the latest Summit catalog. Valued at over $23, it's yours for only $16.95 plus $3 handling. Shipping is free.
Hello, Summit.
To order, call 216-630-0200, 24 hours, 7 days a week. Free shipping in the continental U.S. Have your Visa, MasterCard, or Discover card ready. Call Summit now and save.
Back at Pomona, where we're getting ready for the Final Four in Competition Eliminator. And has this man been here before, Steve Evans? Guaranteed. David Nickens, one of the best runners in this class.
But he is up against a very consistent dragster here, Ed Shook Jr. His reaction times have been good. He's been running right at about a half a second under the index. Here you can see only 14/100ths of a second will be the starting line advantage for Shook. Believe it or not, the dragster leaves first. The bodied car, the Olds Cutlass, is actually much quicker. It's got a lot more horsepower. David Nickens, Winston champ just a couple of years ago. He's only won it one time. He's come close any number of times. The racing businessman out of Houston up against Shook, who's a local product. Reaction time could be everything here. And it goes to Shook. Nickens did not cut a very good light. And it hurts him. The former champ gets drilled by the little dragster. A 7:68, 172 the winning time. 7:55, 174 miles an hour the losing time. Let's look at it one more time. It was the hole shot that proved the difference. You just can't give away 7/100ths of a second off the starting line. Now, sometimes it's not fair to blame the driver. It may be the car's actual reaction time. The little dragster may move quicker than the heavier Olds Cutlass, but whatever. It hurt Mr. Nickens a full car length.
You know, Well, we were wondering with this headwind coming on here a little bit, I thought maybe David's car might be a little more stable, but you seem to hold it down real well.
Yeah, it was a good run. Shook the tires a little bit in low gear, but to top of high gear, it was real good. I looked over, and he was coming on me, but looked like I could make it to the end, hold him off.
Okay, now one of these next two drivers will be racing young Mr. Shook in the final round to come later on this afternoon. And again, it's a bodied car versus a dragster. The bodied car is Mark Chaperone, the G Altered, running on a 9-flat index. His opponent, Bob Haas, in the C Economy dragster, small block Chevy, 8.25 the index. 75 hundredths of a second is the difference, Brock, and that is a light and a half on the Christmas tree, essentially.
That's a long time for Bob Haas to have to wait, an eternity, really, and it takes enormous mental discipline to wait. And he does it okay. No red lights here. Good, clean start.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, Haas had a little better reaction time than Chaperone. What a drag race. Chaperone at 8:51. He outmuscled him. 159 miles an hour. Haas is 45 hundredths of a second under the index. Chaperone 48 hundredths under, and that's the difference. A little over 3 hundredths of a second. Boy, that was one great drag race. Say today, Competition Eliminator has not let us down in terms of variety and excitement. In this final angle, you know that Mark Chaperone in the near lane is hoping that his peripheral vision does not pick up the spindly little front wheels on that dragster. And I don't think they did. All right, pairings for the comp final. We'll be seeing Mark Chaperone. And will he have lane choice? No, he will not. Ed Shuck Jr. will get that honor, but I don't think that's a big factor unless there's some kind of a major oil down or whatever. And NHRA is so good at cleaning that stuff up, it's hardly a factor anymore. Let's go to Brock with Mark Chaperone.
You know, it's interesting. We were thinking a little bit with you and Nickens with these closed cars that maybe with this headwind it was going to be a little bit of an advantage to work for you. It didn't work for him.
Yeah, typically the heavier car, the headwind doesn't seem to affect it as much. And, you know, we just had our game plan set. We just went out there and did it relaxed.
Good job. Well, good luck in the final.
Okay, Brock, thank you very much. Okay.
It should be a beauty. Stay with us. When we come back, we will have the final rounds. Alcohol dragsters, funny cars, and comp.
You don't cut corners when maintaining the great American home of Henry Ford. The paint these professionals use? Sears Easy Living Interior and Weather Beater Exterior paints. And right now, you can save up to $4 a gallon. These Easy Living and Weather Beater paints just $10.99 a gallon. And these Sears Best Easy Living and Weather Beater paints only $15.99 a gallon. Easy Living and Weather Beater paints for great American homes like yours.
I'm getting older, so I have to push myself just a little bit harder.
Introducing a new, hard-working power stick. Now with more odor fighters per stroke than ever.
Hey, that's better for me and everybody else.
New power stick from Fabergé, the most powerful power stick ever.
Why use Valvoline Motor Oil? For their race cars and their own cars, Valvoline is the #1 choice of race mechanics from Indy 500 to Daytona 500 to NHRA to Baja to SCCA.
TNN viewers have come to know Race Day as their same-day source for motorsports highlights and news. This is Pat Patterson. Be sure to join us tonight at 8:30 when we'll have highlights of many of the day's big events. Don't wait for tomorrow's paper to find out what happened today. Watch Race Day tonight right here on the Nashville Network.
Race Day, 2nd edition, 8:30 p.m. Eastern today on TNN Motorsports. Monday, one of the best new singer-songwriters, Billy Dean.
Let's leave it alone, 'cause we can't see eye to eye. You made up your mind, it was time, it was over. Trying to hide a fire in the dark.
Billy Dean, in concert, the Texas Connection from Fiesta, Texas and San Antonio. TNN, the Nashville Network, Monday.
On the next Celebrities Off Stage, we'll shoot hoops with Sawyer Brown star Mark Miller. Barbara Mandrell is one of the hardest working women in show business. We'll take a look at her blockbuster new show. And Ricky Van Shelton almost didn't survive his country music success. He'll tell us his dramatic story.
I looked for my pistol because I was going to put it to my head and just blow my brains out. I was so miserable.
Celebrities Off Stage on TNN, the Nashville Network, Monday night.
The sun is rapidly descending over the Chief Sports Nationals as we get ready for the 3 final runs here. But before we get to them, let's take another look at some of the other sportsman winners. In Superstock, Rick Hauser went away with the victory. In the stock class, Kenny Moore was the winner. Super Comp went to Rod Hartzell. Super Gas winner was Paul Elabab. And the junior dragster winner was Brad Fink. Our congratulations to all those guys. Great job.
Now it's time for Competition Eliminator, one of the most competitive categories in all of NHRA Championship drag racing, as you have seen today. Mark Chaperone, San Diego, the G altered over on the far side, the C Economy dragster of Ed Shook Jr. here in the near lane. And I think this is a pick-up final. Huh, Brock?
Going to be really interesting. And again, it highlights the wonderful mechanical contrast of this particular class. Mark Chaperone in a car that looks like a state-of-the-art pro stock car from a distance. And, of course, Shook in a car that dates back, oh, but 10, 15 years as far as dragster technology is concerned, at least externally.
That's right. Chaperone will have the advantage, 81 hundredths of a second, and every hundredth is precious, especially off that starting line. And I'll tell you, when it gets this dark, you can really see that yellow light. Your reaction time might even improve. Shook has almost a perfect light. Chaperone was a little bit late. Chaperone's got big problems sideways in the middle of the racetrack, and he tags the wall with the left rear quarter panel. It is all Ed Shook at 848, 110 miles an hour. He shut it off almost completely. I'm sure he saw Chaperone dead sideways in the middle of the racetrack when he drove by and thought, this guy is no longer a threat. Let's see if we can see what happened to Mark over on the far side. As always, the wheels were up in the air. Maybe it lands with the wheels just a little bit cockeyed. Whatever, there you see it getting out of the groove. He heads for the wall. Does a nice job of correcting it right there. Looks a little bit like a Winston Cup driver trying to save the machine, and he darn near does it. The most important thing is he kept it out of Shook's lane. Here we thought, you know, he may not even scratch this car, but we were wrong. Doink. All right, let's go to Brock down at the far end with the winner.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry about the way I had to win it there. It looked like Mark spun out. He almost got in my lane. I backed out of it and just wanted to stay out in front of him.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a chance to talk to him, find out what happened, but I think everything's all right. You had a good clean pass, though, other than that.
Yeah, I backed out of it. It felt good. The light was green when I left, which I was real happy about. I don't know what the reaction time was, but it felt pretty good.
Well, I'll tell you what, 5:04, how's that for reaction time? Not too shabby.
No, is that what it is?
Yeah, it is.
Wow, it was close. I knew when it came up green. I want to thank Flowtech Racing Heads and ERC Gasoline and the Hogan's intake manifolds and my dad for putting this thing together.
Congratulations, Ed.
Thanks again.
Okay.
Well, I tell you, your ego just loves hearing you cut almost a perfect light. That's a huge reward for these guys. Well, speaking of guys, here's a girl. Tiffany Highland over in the far lane. Her blown alcohol dragster will be up against Brooks Brown. You not only have a guy racing a girl, you've got an injected nitro car against a supercharged alcohol car. But first, indeed, Brock Yates has caught up with Mark Chaperone. Let's see exactly what happened. Brock?
Well, Mark, disappointing way to end a really nice day. I mean, you were really rolling well, and what happened?
Well, had a great leave. Felt like a real strong leave. Hit second gear, was still straight. Went into third gear, and I felt the rear end starting to come around on me. And rather than hit the brakes, when I was up at Bondurant Driving School a couple years, they said, just go with it. So I just steered into the darn thing, felt the rear end coming around, just tried to keep the wheels straight and off the brakes, and we drove out of it, thank God.
Little road racing practice helped.
Little Bob Bondurant road racing practice.
Okay.
There, you bet.
All right, well, sorry it ended like this.
Me too. It was rough.
Okay, thankfully he's all right, and the car will be easily repaired. As soon as that sun dropped out of sight, boy, what a drastic change in the weather. It's cooled off tremendously. The moisture in the air is up, and I'm sure that's got to concern Tom Topic, considering the violence of this two-speed automobile. He shakes hands with his young comrade. And Tiffany Highland over in the other lane, she's ready to race. We saw her not only match wheels with Larry Sutton around before Brock, but she actually left a little bit ahead of him.
Oh, yeah. Tiffany's getting to be, as you say, one of the best in this particular class. And as you observed very accurately earlier, in a very challenging class of race cars. These are not easy to drive. And Tiffany Highland is deporting herself well. Look at this, an almost perfect lead by her. A great drag race.
But it's the power of the Nitro car that pays off. Brooks Brown at a 5.93 to Tiffany's 5.97. And there was a moment there that I thought maybe Brooks Brown was in real trouble. Let's go down to Tom Topping and Bob Fry.
Congratulations, boy. I guess those A fuel cars really run.
Well, we can keep them consistent. We proved that, and we're just going to keep trying to get race after race.
You'd like to share some of those secrets with us? Nobody else can make them run 4 runs.
We're not exactly sure how we do it either. We just keep plugging away, try to be conservative and you know, keep the thing consistent.
Well, this car was awesome and consistent here this weekend. Congratulations.
Now, in replay, it won't look like Brooks Brown was off the mark first because the car is so lazy, but he was. The reaction time doesn't lie. Now, watch the car in the near lane. It'll come out here and it'll spin the tires just enough, right about there, to let Tiffany get a full car length advantage. But Brooks' big top end charge, 233 miles an hour, was enough to more than make up that difference.
Well, I'll tell you what, you rolled out with a national record last week and capped it with a championship this week. Not a bad way to end the whole deal.
Not a bad way at all. This is great. Gerald in Florida, yeah!
93. Did you think you could run it like that in the dark?
It got all out of shape on me. I was steering like mad. I was all over the place. It slowed down. It spun the tires bad out there.
Great pass. Good job. Congratulations, Brett.
Thanks a lot.
Boy, that's the most pumped up I've ever seen Brooks Brown. A big hug for Tiffany Highland. Those two will meet again. Brooks hopes it's the same result. Stay with us. We're coming back with Alcohol Funny Cars.
Why use Valvoline motor oil? It's the #1 choice of Indy 500 chief mechanics, Daytona 500 chief mechanics, NHRA mechanics, and Baja 1000 mechanics. For use in their race cars and in their own cars. Any more questions? People who know use Valvoline.
Chrysler Corporation has sold over 3 million minivans, 28 of which were bought by other car makers like Nissan, Toyota, and Ford. Maybe they were hoping to take our ideas and somehow improve on them. Their work has led to one sobering conclusion. Anybody can take apart the world's best-selling minivans. Only one company can put them together.
Hey, have you been waiting all summer for the perfect time to paint? Well, guess what? Time's up. Because right now, Sherwin-Williams is having their perfect price sale. Weather Perfect Exterior Flat is only $10.99, and Style Perfect Interior Flat is just $8.99. The perfect price sale ends October 2nd, so now's the time to stop procrastinating and start painting. Hey, buddy, you missed a spot.
Remember the rules of the road, Andy said, as we steer towards Music City, USA. Keep plenty of the old mill up top, and a real hit-kicking compilation of the country's greatest in the deck. Music so good, you'll forget the dials on the dash. The one thing about being out in the country, you never run out of folks willing to lend a hand.
You boys need a ride.
And just as long as you don't run dry of the old Milwaukee, it doesn't get any better than this.
For a chance at 10 of the country's greatest hits, some hit-kicking music, check out an old Milwaukee display.
It's the most powerful show on television. High drama with intense energy. A show dedicated to a few brave souls who risk their lives for the sake of their craft. Its in-depth reporting goes to the core and unlocks the mysteries behind today's raciest sport. NHRA Today, Saturdays and Sundays on TNN Motorsports. Catch it when you can.
We have one race left here at the NHRA Chief Auto Parts Sports Nationals, and it ought to be a beaut. Pat Austin going against decidedly upset-minded Lou Gasparelli. And I'll tell you what, Steve Evans, Gasparelli has run so well and so consistently today, he may be able to overcome that 5.93 that Austin laid down earlier.
That's right, and Gasparelli has been very calm. I've seen him at other races where that wasn't the case. But he seems to have complete trust in Bob DeVore and all of his crew. And as he told you earlier, I'm not even going to try to watch that car the other way. Just drive, lose, race. Do your own thing. that's easy to say, but harder to do. So the Dodge-bodied car here in the near lane will be up against the Oldsmobile-bodied car over in the far lane. Pat Austin, that for a number of years has literally owned this class. He is second only to Bob Glidden. The total number of championships he has won, that's alcohol, dragster, and top fuel, and he's about 25 years younger than Glidden. So there's a good chance that he may ultimately take that away. But, you know, Southern California drag racing fans love night drag racing. They grew up on it out here. And this wasn't intentionally supposed to finish at night, but here we are with all of the weather delays and so forth that have gone along with this race. The Gasparelli will be very, very confident running in this light. And Pat Austin, for that matter, too. He's done a lot of night racing up at Seattle International Raceway near his hometown in Kent, Washington, trying to get the burnout smoke out of the cockpits. Austin has a huge supercharger, that Whipple supercharger I talked about earlier. Fairly controversial piece. NHRA has regulated how hard you can overdrive it. That was Mike Austin saying, drill him, bro, drill him.
Yeah, the Whipple is really an effective piece, but some of the people are complaining that it may be a little bit expensive, but technology is always expensive in any kind of motorsport.
It may be expensive, but it's bulletproof. You can't even break the thing. Okay, they're off. Gasparelli hanging in there. Austin a little out of shape. It is Lou Gasparelli, and this place will go nuts. And he won it on a whole shot. 595 to a 593. Let's go down to Bob Fry.
Hey, Bobby, that's why the driver makes those big bucks for winning things like that, huh?
He's driving obsessed. I don't know what to say about Lou Gasparelli. He was operated December 17th for cancer. He's been taking radiation treatments every day. He hasn't ate 2 weeks. He wants to win. And the Gasparelli, that's all I can say. We're happy.
It's a great way to end this for Lou Gasparelli.
Oh, absolutely it is. He's a courageous guy, and I'm glad that Bob DeVore offered that tribute. Let's take another tribute to his driving this time. It was Gasparelli with a 4.60 light to Austin's .487, and not very many people could say they left on a final round against Pat Austin. The picture says it all.
All right, Lou, congratulations. I know last time we talked to you was here at the Winter Nationals. A 93 to a 95. A whole shot wins it. He low ET'd you, but just fantastic. Yeah, you just drove right around him, and you just...
Those guys, I mean, my crew, Bob DeVore, the whole crew, I mean, they just put the car together. I've got so much confidence in this car that, I mean, I just got to drive it. It's simple.
Well, great job. Great whole shot, great pass, and great championship.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
When you've conquered in your personal life what Lou Gasparelli has, he's right. They are simple. Our congratulations to all of our winners here at the Cheap Auto Parts Sports Nationals. For Brock Yates and Bob Fry, I'm Steve Evans. So long from Pomona, California.
The executive producer for American Sports Cavalcade is George E. Orgera. The supervising producer is Tom Gee. Produced and directed by Mark Kuchin. Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by